Hey guys, welcome to the definitive ranking of Cadence of Hyrule.
I think it's Crypt of the Necromancer
Okay, is that the
colon. It's got like a longer. It's like The Legend of Zelda Presents Crypt. I don't know. It's some long convoluted name.
Today we're talking about Cadence of Hyrule. It's been a few years since this has come out.
Yeah.
You've played through this a few times.
I have a lot. I played it when it came out. I've played it co-op at the marathon all the way through. I played it co-op all the way through after the marathon, and I played it again just now.
Okay.
So I love playing this game.
I think my file, I had to delete a file. So I think this was my fourth playthrough of the game.
Okay.
Myself. Although I hadn't played it in probably about a year and a half, 2 years, and when we get into some of the later categories, I felt like I had to relearn how to play this game because it had been a while.
Okay, yeah. For me, it feels like jumping back in. Like I remember the first time playing it, dying a lot.
Yes,
and then I died a decent amount of times this time, but I felt more comfortable playing it. So.
I died a ton this time.
Okay.
More than I've ever died.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
We'll get to that as to why. But let's talk about the world of Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necromancer, Legend of Zelda Presents.
Okay.
I think I did that backwards. But and then this will get into the story a little bit too. I don't care about the lore of Cadence.
Okay.
The character, I'm saying. How he's there, or why, or she's, is it he or she?
I think it's a girl, yeah.
It's a girl. I don't know why she's there.
I
don't know. It doesn't interest me.
Well, the game's not in that world.
Yeah. No. Why is she in Hyrule?
That's not. Well, the game clearly doesn't really even care about that either.
Yeah.
So that's not the world of this game to me.
The Overworld. It's cool to see some of the familiar places in 2D, like that feeling when you first walk into Kokiri Village in particular.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a little soothing. Just the overworld as itself, I mean, one of the big gimmicks here is that Hyrule Castle is always in one of the areas near the center, but everything else is kind of random.
Yeah.
It's randomly generated so that every time you play, you're unfamiliar. You have to seek out the different areas, and it could be anywhere on the map.
Yeah.
I think Deathmound's always at the top somewhere.
There's some things that are similar, yeah.
And I don't know if I really like that.
Okay. I really enjoy that.
I feel like I prefer the more traditional set. I do like some of the randomness factors, but it just makes it feel, I don't know, unfamiliar. You don't fall in love with the world in the same sense like A Link to the Past or something, or Ocarina of Time.
No, that's why I like it. I like poking around the world and this is over here this time, and it's almost like turning the toy thing at the store and what am I gonna get this time? What's on the next screen?
I do like that idea. I do feel like when you're not in the towns or in the set locations, which ends up being about 80% of the world, their areas are just not that unique or interesting.
For me, a lot of it is it's more like, if I cross the screen, am I going to be in the Lost Woods now? It's more of that kind of thing. There's a lot of screens where it's just it's just kill all the enemies. But I kind of, when I start playing, kind of get into the groove, and I'm just give me whatever. The screen, all right, cool. Kill all the enemies, get the diamond, But that being said, I also really like the locations in the game, the different towns and kind of their spin on things.
Okay.
I like what you said about seeing the stuff all in this world, but what I like about the world too is that I feel like it honors a lot of stuff from Zelda's history that sometimes you don't even see represented. I think you see certain stuff from some of the older, more retro games, like A Link to the Past and Adventure of Link. I think there's some stuff in there, and they have it's a lot of little stuff. There's the classic Gorias and just some of these old designs and old enemies and stuff that I feel like they're specifically paying homage to that retro era, but then they also have some of the new stuff, and it feels like a cool blend in a way that to me it feels like kind of a love letter to the A Link to the Past era at times that I really enjoy.
I actually would say that they don't have anything modern really in this game. I don't think post.
There's taluses.
Okay, yeah.
There's a little bit of stuff.
Very little in the last 15 years, I'd say.
Yeah, so that's something I like about it, is that it's like it's a current game, but it's like indie and retro feeling, and they lean into that a little bit, and so and I like the look of the world and everything. So
the look of the world, like I think that kind of blends in with the art style a little bit.
Yeah,
the graphics. It's I love the sprite work.
Yeah, it's got a lot of personality.
It's cool to see some characters like the Bokoblin. We'll just use them.
Yeah.
I don't think has there been 2D Bokoblin before?
I don't think so.
It's seeing some of those 3D characters like just like waving their little.
They're cute. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cutesy. Yeah. I wonder if there's like it'd be nice to get like official pixel art or something.
Mm-hmm. And with the artwork, the art design they go for with some of like the Grotto area, I think they it's cool. Like I think they have a lot of that classic stuff, but they give them kind of a new, like some new twists in their stuff, especially incorporating like the musical elements. Mm-hmm. So like just seeing like, you know, little Ganondorf playing his organ and stuff like that. There's just some like neat little tiny design things that I like.
Mm-hmm. And it seems both the staff and the community, they rated the art style the highest of any category other than music, which we'll get to later.
Okay.
But so that's clearly, and you know, you and I both gave it top remarks here with 4 out of 5s.
Yes. And one more thing I wanted to say with the world too is I went back after playing this when it came out and played Crypt of the Necrodancer, and I thought it was kind of fun. Like the gameplay was fun in a similar way that I like this gameplay, but the world of it, I was less, like, it got me less. And what I liked about this was it had that randomness of Crypt of the Necrodancer, but it was still set in a world, like with a map. And I think that's what made it for me, was I was still like adventuring and exploring around, but like every time I play it, it's like a little bit new. It's not, you know, it's not like a totally different game, but
right.
So I just wanted to throw that in there, that like I like the blend of styles.
You know, it's worth taking a quick step back. And did you play that before playing Cadence of Hyrule?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played for about, I think, like 2-3 hours, like literally the day or 2 days before it came out, just to be like, okay, so I'm not a complete stranger to this style. But
I think it's a cool game, but it's just this was I had already played this, and this was more my style, I think.
Yeah, and I think they made this more accessible, even.
Definitely
than the original. Okay, let's talk about the story. I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, and I think you probably agree. Does the story matter here?
No. It's
what's going on.
So when you were saying about like Cadence being there, to me, it doesn't really matter. Her traveling in the dimensions or whatever, it's just a vehicle to go to Hyrule and explore. In fact, you go there and they go, okay, which character do you really want to play as? I like that the story is simple and it's more about exploring the world and then seeing like the cute twists on things. You're taking this Zelda world and basically all of the kind of tropes that come with it and mixing it in this new way and presenting it in this new gameplay style, which I think they should do more with like other games.
Yeah.
Even if it is just like, here's like a Link to the Past again, but in this other game style, I'm okay with that. I think that's fun, because it's fun to play for me. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Yeah. I think with a lot of Zelda games, or actually not a lot, I would say a few Zelda games, you get seriously invested into the world and story. This one, I don't think you get invested into. Like, you don't play this game. Nobody's playing this for the story. Go play.
Yeah, no one's worried about it.
Go play Majora's Mask for that or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it would be bad if they tried to do more with it than they do. You know, it's just about playing it.
Okay. The pacing and progression.
Yeah.
And this is one that I think they do a pretty decent job, actually. I like that, well, right from the get-go, I think you can go anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So the world is just wide open to you.
Yeah, so I love that, always.
And the enemies, I know in the dungeons in particular, or the bosses, I should say, they scale up. So whatever boss you fight first will have less health.
Yeah.
Than that. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I might be totally off on this. But when you're navigating the overworld, I think there are more enemies depending on your health.
Okay, I don't know.
I feel like early in the game there's just not that many enemies around you, but then by the late game, I might be off on that, but
Could be. Yeah.
but you can go anywhere. Do the dungeons necessarily get harder?
Unless it's like they add more enemies, but
I
I
think
never
they
really noticed. I never noticed. So
Okay. Do you mainly notice the difficulty progression with the bosses? That's the big one.
I've noticed that, and I mostly just notice like every time I play, even now when I do get into it like more quickly, that I still die a lot in the beginning. Just not as much as I used to, but I still die a lot, and then eventually I get my groove on, and then I start dying a lot less.
Let me ask you: when you played this most recent time, how many hearts did you get? I mean, there's 2 full rows. Did you get like 1.5 rows?
I got almost all of them except for I think I had like 2 left. Two full hearts, I think, maybe 1. I don't know.
Okay, so you got a lot of the heart pieces in the overworld and whatnot. Yeah. I think the difficulty scales depending on how much health you have.
Okay, yeah.
But because there's no penalty really for dying in this game, you just
Yeah, but that's what I like about it is like at first, like I remember when I first played it, I died a lot, and I for like an hour or something, I felt a little bit disheartened. And then like it clicked, and then it was like smooth sailing from there, even when I died. And when I realized like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. You just kind of get back out there, and they do a good job of like making it so you can just like jump right back in.
Right.
So that's why I have it rated so high, is that I like every time playing it, like even now when I'm dying a lot, eventually hitting the point where like I feel like I'm playing better and I've gotten enough stuff that I can like negate dying and stuff a lot easier. That I just feel like, I like just building up the machine, of stuff, and being like, all right, I'm on full gear now or whatever.
Right. Do you feel like the progression, not or like the world progression, I guess the open world nature of this, does it feel kind of Breath of the Wild-ish?
I guess so, yeah. Just because you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you can go anywhere, and the difficulty scales, and but it doesn't have the structure that like most prior Zelda games had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I kind of I just didn't feel as invested into the story really, and just the going everywhere is cool. Like I felt like the need to complete the map. Like I want to go to every screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved that. When
you get all the little icons, like it tells you what's in every screen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, there's a heart piece there, or there's a purple chest.
That was so cool. Yeah.
That's
another reason I love the world, is because it was kind of at some point later in the game it was kind of mindless, but I was just like check. I didn't get everything, but I was like, oh, got all this stuff.
I have to say, I think that that start menu map could be a little bit clearer.
Okay.
I don't know,
like
it's like
the little icons.
It's like too little, like low resolution, I guess, and not like. All right, come on, talk to me a little bit here, Matt.
Okay, the stuff I needed to know was pretty clear to me.
I feel like I was like navigating. I have to go like screen by screen, looking. All right, what's in this one? What's in this? Like, did I miss anything? I'm like.
One thing about the story and the progression that you had, because it is open and you go anywhere, but like in each area to like do a thing, there was like a tiny little story element thing that I thought was like pretty novel and cute. It felt very simplistic in the way that a lot of things like in A Link to the Past are, where it's just like, oh, you found, or even like it reminded me of like Adventure of Link, like, oh, you found my baby, like, okay. But it was like, to get into this dungeon you got to find the gears in the one spot, you got to get through the Lost Woods in the other spot
using the Tingle Tuner,
which was cool.
Is Tingle in the game?
Tingle is in the game. You got to wake him up and he gives you the Tingle Tuner.
There you go.
You had to do the little crypt to revive the other character you didn't pick, so it's not like, wow, this is an amazing story, but just the novelty and the cuteness of going to an area, doing like a goofy little quest. Like I also liked that too. So it gave it some structure, but not really.
When you first started the game, did you play as? Did you pick Link?
Yeah, I think I mostly have played as Link.
I played as Zelda one time like a year ago or so, but I've almost always I don't even remember what Zelda plays like.
Okay.
And I know in the later portion of this game there gets a part, I think it's just Hyrule Castle, where you can
switch, yeah.
like live switching. You just step on a switch and it changes character.
Yeah.
Obviously, if any of the stone, whatever those tablet things, you can switch character. I played as Link almost exclusively though.
Yeah, same. I was kind of like already comfortable with that, and I liked certain of his specific attacks, and I just not like experimenting much with Zelda, but I like that they're noticeably different.
I don't remember what Zelda plays like actually.
Zelda has some different things, like your shield is instead like Nehru's Love, and you can shoot out a Din's Fire and like move it on the screen, but you stay in place. All the characters have some slight differences. I think like Cadence and Link are a little bit closer, but then you've got like there's like a little Deku guy you can play as, and then you can play a Skull Kid with the DLC. So like I like that there's variety.
I don't think I ever played as Cadence ever.
I did a little bit, but it's not like too different. Like
she plays very similar to Link.
Her and Link have a lot of similarities, I think.
Okay, and both of them you can use with any character. You can use the entire inventory.
No, there's certain certain weapons that are exclusive to certain characters. Yeah.
Okay, but like the bombs and fire rod.
All that stuff is
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. We're talking about gameplay.
We are talking about the gameplay.
Which you didn't like it.
No, I didn't like it.
That might be the key difference. I think that's the key to this game for me.
So it's got to click with you.
Yeah.
It really does. And I think every single time I've played this, it has clicked. Like an hour into it, you realize, like, okay, you get moving with the rhythm is the first thing you got to knock down. It might seem like an afterthought to you or to anybody at this point after playing it, but that is the biggest hurdle right away, because you have to left, like you have to you got to like almost
unless you want to play in fixed beat mode.
Don't do that. I've played as that, and it's like clearly meant for people like me who don't like the beat.
I think it's probably for that, but I think it's a nice, I think, accessibility feature. I'm sure there's some people who just are incapable of playing like quickly, and I think that's like a nice option,
Okay.
I played it a little bit on my first playthrough. I played it a lot actually, and I kind of thought it was neat because it now made it like a turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I do like the rhythm based gameplay.
I don't like the rhythm,
Yeah.
but then I played the fixed beat, and I thought that was even worse.
Okay, cool.
This is like a watered down. Like they just clearly made it for people that don't like the rhythm, but I'm like, this is even worse than the rhythm.
Yeah.
I think at times it's just for like I'm one of those, like, every time I go to a new screen, I feel like I gotta kill every enemy. And sometimes there's
me too.
There's like a Deku scrub in the other end of the map that I didn't see. His little hair sticking out of the ground.
I gotta get that guy.
All right, there, left. Oh, like I'm like, okay. Like,
I felt that way too, but my difference with this is it clicked for me. And not only do I enjoy it, but I find it addictive. So I go to every screen. I'm like, I gotta kill all these guys, and the music's pumping. And it's awesome. So that's maybe the difference here.
I always feel like I want to, like, if there's any sort of puzzle that needs to be solved on a room, there's no way I'm going to even bother with it until all the enemies are done.
Well, yeah, because you get I'm the same way, where actually the puzzle elements isn't really a thing I even like as much in the game, but I have come to appreciate them more upon replay, because I have discovered like solutions to puzzles in a different way every time.
Right.
And I like every time I play, this is more of an items thing, which at first I didn't like them as much, but I've like figured out more and more every time I play. And so that's even with like kind of the randomness and like they throwing items at you, it means sometimes like this is the item I have. So I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to use it.
Right.
So with that in the gameplay, like, yeah, I agree with you though. Like you got to clear the enemies.
Got to clear them, because then you can just hold the button and Link or whatever runs across the screen, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the push and pull of those two elements of the game is that like it's to me it's fun to do the rhythmic stuff, but the puzzles, it's like it's almost a separate entity. Like I feel like you can't mix them.
Okay.
I remember the first time I played it, this is gonna jump ahead again too, but feeling like, oh, I wish there were like they did more with the puzzles in like the dungeons, because there's a couple rooms where it's like, here's a puzzle now, but now playing it now with the gameplay, I'm like, actually I just like doing like the rhythm based combat, and I just like it more as an action game.
Okay.
And not really, I know it's Zelda, but that's not the part of it that I really love.
Right. Yeah.
I like the combat puzzle of like, okay, what I've got these items in my inventory, so I'm gonna use them. You know, like, okay, I can walk around and like slash at the guys, but now I've got a bow, so maybe I'll incorporate that, or some bomb chews. So let's use some bomb chews. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual puzzles I'm like a little less hot on.
Well, like specifically with the combat, so with Link, you've got 4 different weapons, your base weapons.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about. You got your regular sword, which just jabs straight ahead. Does that basically become obsolete once you get the big sword?
The only one that's the one I use is the big sword because it covers so much more. But
wait, to be clear, the one that like it hits diagonal, straight, and diagonal,
yes,
right? That one.
Yeah, that's the one I typically use.
Yeah.
But I think you can usually get. I could be wrong, but this is how I've always encountered it. You can get way stronger short swords.
The Kokiri Sword, I think, does 4 damage.
Yeah.
But it only does 1 attack ahead of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see how you might want to go for that.
I think even then, though, that's like the ability to hit diagonally is the core. Like that's.
I agree. Though it could be different. I've seen other people play the game with, even with other characters and stuff too. So.
Right.
I don't know if I've clicked in and you've done like what's the best strategy, or if it's just like we've happened upon the same thing.
I do occasionally use the spear, which attacks only in a straight line, but 2 ahead. You know, yeah, I've used that. I still don't know what's the two-handed sword do. That's different than.
You can hold it out, I think, and move it around you, and so
Okay.
you can swipe around your body and keep it out and like run into people. So
Okay.
That seems like a whole different style of gameplay.
I never like dive too deep into that.
Yeah.
Like I thought like I'm using it. I didn't know you can hold it because I know you can't use your shield, but it felt like it's like the spear almost because it's two in front of you.
There's a way to hold it out, I think, but
Okay.
I didn't mess around with too much. I liked getting the breakable items.
Oh, I don't, because you lose them as soon as you get hit.
Well, I liked getting them because I'm like, okay, well, let's play with the spear for a little bit, and then it would default back to your last item. So it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'll see what this is like and dabble a little bit. But it kind of in a similar way to Breath of the Wild of like, oh, I'll just try this out. But like, I had my go-to, which was the same as yours.
Wait, does it actually default to the previous item?
Yeah,
It does. But if you select it, it doesn't.
if you select,
So like sometimes, like let's say you have a glass, isn't that what they're called? Like
glass.
a glass spear or something, and you go into your menu, you select, oh, let me use this one,
Yeah.
and then it breaks. I think it goes back to the regular spear then,
Oh.
and you got to go and pause.
Okay. Yeah, it could be. I always had the broadsword, I think it's called, equipped, and then I pick up a glass one and I'd be like, okay, like,
Okay.
try it out. Okay, mace, interesting.
What is that? So what does that hit? Is that like an L shape?
It's an L, yeah.
It's like
It's like you're swinging it and it's swinging behind you, you know.
I have not been able to master that. Granted, I didn't spend as much time with it this time around.
That was the one this time around that I like got more used to.
Okay.
That's what I like about this game is like I can play it and it's a short experience, and every time I like can kind of pick up a little bit here and a little bit here. It's not like you have to master all of this. So
Okay.
yeah.
But talking about, I guess we could jump a little bit into the items here. 'Cause
Yeah.
This is obviously related. There's a lot of items,
There is, yeah.
and usually I love the massive inventories, and I still kind of do.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it a 2 and not a 1. The usage of them, maybe I don't know. I didn't experiment as much as I should have. I mean, I did in my last playthrough. I played for 6 hours on this game. I think that's a decent amount but like, you get I got the hook shot, then I got the upgraded long shot. I got the fire rod, the Deku Leaf, the ice rod. I just didn't use almost any of these weapons.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like there's certain puzzles where I felt like you needed to use them.
Yeah.
I could think of one screen in particular where you need the hook shot to get across because you're on the higher ledges. But it's like, do you ever need to use the boomerang in this game? You don't. I don't think you have to use any weapon almost ever.
There's certain puzzles where I thought, like in my previous time playing them, I can't specifically name them, but where it was like, oh, you specifically need this item, and then this time around I was there and I didn't have that item, and I figured out a different way to do it with a different item that I never used, but it was the one I had this time.
Okay.
Granted, I think there are plenty that are you need this specific item, but there was some, like, it had some of that variety element. Like, I was all of a sudden like Cane of Samaria-ing around and making the blocks to do different things. And
I got a complaint about the cane.
Okay.
So when you drop a cane block, it's like, I'm gonna put this in terms of like stories. Like, it's 2 stories high because you can't jump onto that block because it's too high. Like, but then there's other ones that are only like 1 story high, so you got to sometimes make like a staircase a little bit. I feel like the cane should be 1 story high. You should be able to drop it and then get on top of it.
Okay. Well, that was one that I specifically solved certain puzzles using it.
Okay.
In a way that in a way where I was like, am I supposed to do that?
Are you like, a lot of times I'm in the overworld and I see a chest and I'm like, I can't reach it. Like, I don't think you can get this chest. I think maybe I was wrong, but I felt like a lot of them, like, okay, you need the hover boots to get there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's one that I think of a lot.
Like, that's the only way to get there. You need and sometimes I'm like moving those like blocks around. I can't tell, is this 2 stories or 3 stories high? And I'm like, I have trouble telling when I can get onto a block or.
Okay.
And sometimes I find it annoying when there should be a different button for getting onto a block or pushing it.
Oh.
Is there, or is
no,
there?
No. The puzzles are based around setting up the block so you can climb onto it.
Yeah, but sometimes like I could push the block up to the ledge, but the only way to get onto the ledge would be from the bottom. But there's a block you can't. Right. You can only get on from the sides. But if you can't get on from the sides because Link's just gonna push the block, then you place the cane so you can't push it anymore.
Right.
But.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that. That was
No. I don't like the blocks.
Okay.
Not a fan of the blocks. But there's other items, and this is one that, like, I was playing the game and I asked you when you came in, you were watching me. I'm like, do you use any of these things? Because you got all the scrolls with electric and fire. I don't even know what they are. I always get them, and in general throughout the game, I pick up like, oh, you got a advanced boots or a shovel or a torch or something, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. I just always get it. You go into a shop and he's got 3 things for sale. I'm like, do I need this? I'm like, whatever, rupees don't matter. Just let me buy whatever I can buy.
Okay.
I don't think about any of the things I have.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. There's some that I've grown to really like. And then it has that part where it's like, okay, this one I really like, but it's like half durability. Do I buy this other one that I don't like the ability as much, or do I, stick with this one? Yeah, it's got a little bit of that. So, like, I like with the shovel, there's the auto dig one. Okay. So you just are near a wall and it digs it. You don't even have to press down into it. Or like dig dash. There's one like that. I like that kind of stuff that just like makes the digging go quicker. Yeah.
Do you think there should have been a torch? Like, should a torch been a default weapon? There was a few times I was in a cave and my torch ran out.
I feel like anytime I didn't have a torch, I would kill like 3 enemies and then I would have 3 torches. So yeah. I think it's pretty good about giving you that stuff.
It knows when you don't have one.
Yeah, I think I had like one moment in the game where I was like without a torch and I was like, this is annoying.
Yeah,
but
I
they're not far around the corner. It's
whenever you die too, there's always one for sale.
Yeah, and you always have diamonds. So
yeah. Okay.
I liked all those little things and the scrolls. Yeah, the scrolls. I wasn't like strategizing too much with them. But if I enter a room with like, you know, the little mini boss rooms where it's all the little enemies, I'm like, all right, lightning power, you know, just like throw on those. And then one that was crucial to me was the little gift one.
Okay.
Because
the gift of anything or something.
It gives you what it thinks you need most. So if you use it and you're like fine, but you don't have a torch, it'll give you a torch. But it was always crucial if you have low health and you use it, it spits out a fairy.
Oh.
So it was always like a free heal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was always happy to have those.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. See, a new little tip to take into the next game.
I will need some tips when we get later on in here. But,
okay.
So let's talk about the dungeons. Not a fan. I'm not a fan. I like the environmental aspects surrounding the dungeons. Like, so I like that, you know, when you're in Lake Hylia, it's all frozen, whatever, and then you're in what's the ice place?
The ice grotto or
Frozen Grotto.
Frozen Grotto.
Yeah. And it's themed in ice.
Yeah.
You know, they all have the main room. They're all formulaic. Like,
they have the same structure. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get into the actual dungeon, I feel like you're just in a cave at that point, though. Mm-hmm. There's no.
No, I think they still had that. Like there was ice stuff in the
They're still thematic in that sense, but there's no, because of the randomness of the game, with the randomly generated world, I think it loses the creativity of having set pieces in the dungeons that are distinctive in a lot of the Zelda series. Mm-hmm. That it just hurts it a little bit, I think.
I think the dungeons all had like one or two moments like that, but I actually didn't like those as much. Like in the fire dungeon, there's a part where you have to like throw down the guys so you can cross on the lava, or there's like an ice pushing puzzle. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I just want to do the combat.
Yeah, I don't like those puzzles. Yeah, those either. Yeah. I meant like when you think of, I don't know, think of Ocarina of Time, the Spirit Temple's got the giant room with the statue and the you know, like it's a set piece, like, and people remember it. Like this doesn't have that because the world is every room is random.
Yeah,
other than the intro rooms, which some of them are cool.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. But I just like, I just like the gameplay so much that's what it is about me. I think you could have made them look more unique down there. Why couldn't you have a big cool ice statue in the ice room? You know. Do
you think they could have done like a middle ground a little bit where the whole world is general, but maybe there's one or two dungeons that are like more traditional sense? Or is it kind of an all or nothing?
Isn't the one in the DLC the one that's like super puzzle based? Like, is that randomly generate? I just know that one actually has like navigation.
Okay.
Because it's like you gotta get this and go here and go here, and I actually didn't like it. Like I was like, I don't want to be solving a puzzle right now.
Okay.
So.
It could be. Yeah. I don't. I haven't done those on replay, so I've only, experienced it.
I don't remember either, but I know it had that element of like I'm looking at the map like in a classic Zelda game, and I was just like, my brain is not in that mode. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not trying to solve a puzzle right now.
And if I recall, like if you're in a dungeon and you die and you start the dungeon over, but then you go to the first floor, then the floor is regenerated again.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not even the same. Mm-hmm. Like I don't, not that these worlds are so big where you have to like think about where you're going, but you want to explore the whole floor. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I always do. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to kill every enemy so you can run and just see whatever. Anyway, the community and the staff, both of us, almost everybody thought the dungeons were on the lower end of the scale.
Of the game. For me. That's maybe the weakest, because I don't care as much about the story, and it's weaker for me, and I also don't care as much about it because I don't know what what would get me to rate it high.
Okay.
Because like I said, the alternatives that there are, I don't really like either. But yeah, that's the weakest part about the game.
But one thing we both seem to like were the enemies and the bosses.
Yeah. Well, we already talked about the common enemy designs. It's just cool to see them. And a thing I liked was learning their patterns, for one.
Yeah. And there's more to it than that too. Like, so even in they added a lot more. We'll talk about the side content, the extras here, but even in the DLC, there was like new enemies that were not in the main game, and some of them were like there's Vyres in the game, and then you kill them, and then they turn into a bunch of keys.
Yeah, like they do a good job of incorporating, like all the like ropes like charge at you, like that. They would like they have a lot of the like elements of them. They thought about like how would they work in this type of world.
Right.
And it usually makes sense,
Yeah, I do like the variety of enemies. There are a ton of enemies.
Yeah.
I would argue there might be more enemies in this game than any Zelda game in the series.
You might be right. Yeah.
Like, just because with all the variations, all the variety, and just the pure quantity of them.
Yeah. It rules, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see like a sprite board of just every enemy. Just,
And again, I love how some of them, they go so classic with the look. Like, the Gorias look like Zelda 1 and 2 Gorias. I love that.
Yeah. I didn't give it a 5, though.
Okay.
Because, I should say, I like the bosses, too. I love the, like, almost the...
It's all puns, yeah.
The puns of the names.
Yeah.
What do we got? We got,
Glockenspiel, Bass Guitarmos,
Bass Guitar...
Wizrobo. He's a Wizro playing an oboe.
Yeah. The reason why I don't like it, Ganon.
Oh, he should be Organon.
He's playing an organ. Come on.
Yeah, that kills me.
Why not? I don't know why.
King Debongo.
Is that what it was?
Was in the DLC, and there was one other one in Synthrova.
Okay.
And there's one other one in the main game, and for some reason I can't remember it, but Organon should have.
What is it too small of a name? Like
I don't know. I don't know what they wanted to...
Organon.
Yeah.
It was tailor-made for this.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I don't know why I didn't go 5, actually.
I didn't go 5 because he's not Organon. But no, they're fun. I love the names. And the bosses were kind of cool. Like, they're...
Yeah. They're unique, and you could use the different weapons and strategies, I think.
So this is the one part where... I struggled a lot this time around that I didn't in previous times. And this was mainly in Hyrule Castle in the later portion of the game. I died a ton here.
Okay.
And I explored most of the world, and this is going back to the items. And I kind of mentioned to you, I'm like, where do you get the bottles in this game? Are they randomly generated?
They might be associated. I don't know. I found like 3, so.
I got to Hyrule Castle, and I didn't have any.
Oh, yeah,
And I explored the world.
Weird.
Like I think I just missed. I think I just like unluckily missed the bottles.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because I had no bottles. I had almost every item in the inventory.
Wow.
I had the upgraded items in the inventory as well. I had the mirror shield, the long shot.
Yeah.
I think I had 18 heart containers, but I didn't have a bottle.
Oh no.
I kept dying. I died a ton.
I died a lot in the Octavio fight.
Yes, was that the one where you fight all 4 of them?
Yeah.
I probably died 15 times. In
Go Maracas is the last one, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah, I died a lot in that, and there I didn't. It was hard to get some potions too at that point.
There were places where there were fairies. Can you catch a fairy in a bottle?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I think there's a merchant actually that sells potions, but you need whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't have any bottles, and I felt like, but like it's dying. It's like the bosses are kind of fun, I think.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So even if you die over and over and over, you're getting better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's in so many ways it felt like a throwback to a retro game, because it did feel like I am banging my head against the wall. But every time I feel myself getting better.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the bosses. Sometimes had specific, like King Debongo, you got to put a bomb in his mouth. Classic. But other than that, it wasn't just about like utilize this specific strategy to beat them. You could like try different things, like you said, I'm gonna drop some bomb chews and keep my distance, or shoot arrows from afar,
Right.
So yeah, they were fun to do, and I felt like I was getting better.
Yeah, you definitely, like when I was fighting Octavia, like Octavio,
yeah.
Yeah, there's the 4 phases and then the final phase. And then there's that phase where the sword is like moving down and you gotta like leap over it.
Or like you can switch if you're like the color, like the green is Link.
I was just going up, down, and then you can like jump over the swords.
So this time I was learning different strategies on how to beat the stuff he throws at you, and there was one where it was the Wizropes, the section, and he was like in a corner and he was shooting fireballs and he couldn't hit me, and I was just letting the Wizropes spawn and I was killing them and filling up my hearts because they were dropping hearts.
Do they unlimitedly spawn hearts?
Yeah,
they do. Okay.
So I was like, all right, I cheesed it. I think that's how I beat him, and because that was the last phase, because it's random the phases he does.
The order.
Yeah. So that was the last one. I'm like, all right, filling up on the hearts, and I'm good.
I tried cheesing it during the Ganon battle.
Okay.
And I couldn't get hearts.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if the drop rate was really low. Maybe Wizrobes in particular drop hearts.
I've never had a hard time with the Ganon battle, actually.
Okay. I died a few times.
Okay.
Not an excessive amount, but I definitely died.
I like don't think about that one as much. You get everyone unlocked and then you're just like a killing machine. I'm like not even paying attention. I'm being careless in that part. So yeah.
Do you get a mail in this game? Is there a blue mail and red mail?
I don't think so.
I don't know why I died so many times this time. I don't know. I don't understand.
Huh?
Like, this is not my first rodeo here, but I died like 50 times.
I died a lot, yeah.
But in I have a file.
I died more than my original file too.
I have a file with all the hearts, and it says 5 hours of gameplay, and I died 3 times. Like, what happened?
Whoa.
Like, what happened?
Wow.
Anyway, let's talk about the side content.
Yeah.
So, before getting into the DLC, though, I will say that, like, I did feel, like I was telling you about, like, I felt the need to explore the world to get everything. But it was kind of like what I had mentioned earlier with the items. I get these things that, like, I don't know, like, there's this cave, and I want to get into this cave, and I want to defeat anything, then I beat it, and it gives you a scroll or something, or, okay, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
A lot of times it gives you an item that, like, I think I just click through and didn't even know what it is, but now it shows you all the treasure chests on the map or something. Like, those things are cool. I like that kind of side content, and there's a lot of that stuff. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I like all that stuff. And it's integrated into game. It's a thing with it's similar to A Link to the Past, where some of it's side content, but you don't know, it just feels like part of the game. So that's what I like, is that a lot of it doesn't even distinctly feel like side content. But on top of that, and not even mentioning the DLC, is that it has the different like game modes you can try.
Okay.
So I like that there's like the challenge mode. Like, isn't there like a daily challenge mode or something like that? Or
Truthfully, I didn't even experiment into those. I didn't dive into those. And I actually, when I put this category, I didn't even consider the multiplayer.
Then there's multiplayer, which is, I've played that just as many, if not more times, multiplayer all the way through, and it's a blast. I played it through multiplayer in one sitting once, and we had a great time. And then it's just got all the different characters you can get, and I don't know, I just think there's a lot of cool optional stuff. I think there's like a leaderboard.
There is. There's
so
like
that's sweet.
You know what, I think maybe a little lower than I should have on this one.
Okay,
maybe this deserved a 3 at least.
I maybe went really high, and I was trying to, like, I was also like there's DLC, but I don't know if that counts, because it's like you paid extra for that. It doesn't come with the game.
Did you enjoy the DLC though?
I don't love the DLC. I like the setting. Like, I love the dark, like, now it's got a dark world, and it does that thing again where it's like it's part Dark World but part Majora's Mask, and I think that's cool that it's like not worried about the lore or the story. It's just kind of mixing it. But like I said, with that one dungeon that's like a puzzle dungeon, I'm like, I don't really care about that. The other one is like a Grotto arena, like a battle arena. I think that's cool, because that's what I like about the game, is the combat.
Okay.
But overall, I like the DLC in terms of like the world, and like it introduces the Skull Kid character, and like a new town of the Deku town, and new remixes and stuff like that. So I do like it. But
did you like the new remixes? Do you like the remixes? I mean,
the music. I think the music is incredible in this game.
Okay.
And it's not just, so it's one of the benefits now too of having real instruments in music, because we've seen the benefits of that in Zelda with like fully orchestrated stuff. But now we're seeing it in a different way, because some of these types of instruments or songs aren't songs we normally hear in Zelda. And so as someone who appreciates kind of the styles of music they're incorporating in here, I'm hearing specific like performances on instruments that, like, if I heard them in a normal song, I would like get into it, like an air drum and air guitar, and be like, that is like I can tell someone played that, and it's like a sick lick or something like that.
Okay.
Or even some just minor things get me, like the Kakariko Village. Like, I just think it's really subtle, but I think the drum track on that, it's only like 50 seconds long, but I really love the drums. You can hear just like really subtle things in the performance that I'm just like, every time I hear them, I'm like, man.
Okay.
And so that's why I love all the remixes, because the music, the production and everything is so good on them.
Did you like some of the unique tracks, or was it a lot of it like the kind of like the rethinking some of the existing songs, you know?
Some of the unique tracks, they were from Cadence, I noticed when I
I didn't know that. Okay.
I played, like when you're in the underground, I think that is same as like the dungeon music in Cadence, I think. But then they would like incorporate little licks from Zelda in them. So I thought that was kind of cool, like, again, fusion of the worlds a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's mostly Zelda, which is what I like. But yeah, I liked mostly. Obviously, I like the remixes, and I like the little, again, with the production, like the subtle things they did, like how the music would change, like even on the title screen, where as you get further into the menu, more and more gets added.
Yeah.
Or you clear a screen, or you pause it, or you go to a different part. There's like 5 different versions of every song.
Okay. So would you say, like, I mean, you gave it a 5, so like, is this one of the best soundtracks in the series?
Yeah. It is like, obviously on its face, it's doing something totally different than what other Zelda games are trying to do. This is like, we're taking your favorite tracks and doing sweet remixes.
Right.
But I like it for that, and I think it is one of the best for that.
Okay.
And because it is so unique, like I said, like, you don't really you're not going to hear, like, every Zelda game will have like one-off songs that are like, because it's like for a specific thing, like, we have a Zora band, so here's like a jazz song or something like that. But you mostly are hearing kind of different takes on like classical music, so it's hard to compare it to the others, because this one has like rock and electronica and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I think it is one of the best soundtracks.
Okay. I like the soundtrack.
Okay.
I really do.
Cool.
But like music, I mean, I was like, this was and this was with a lot of the categories, actually. I was comparing it to, like, I made my initial like gut reaction rankings, and then I took a step back and I thought about them again, and I'm like, okay, well, if I gave this a 5 for soundtrack, like, but it's not. Breath of the Wild is like Skyward Sword, I think, has a better soundtrack.
Yeah,
I think.
That's fair.
Like the Past is a better sound. I'm like, I gave those 5s, and I'm like, if we're stacking things against one another, I'm like, you know what?
I respect that. Yeah.
So it's settled at a 3.
And it's nothing. It's there's not, like, other than, I don't think there is unique compositions in this too. So maybe, I mean, I could see that, where it's like they didn't really come up with stuff, but there are so many points in this game. I mean, it's part of the game. It's so integral to the gameplay, and so much of what I like about the gameplay is getting hooked on the rhythm and the music. But I'll be playing it, and I'll still be in the zone and killing enemies, and then the songs are kind of long, and they hit a specific part of the song where I just go like, oh snap, like, this part, it was so hard. And it always hits me while I'm playing it, and it's like, man, this part is so killer. Okay. And that's what I love about it.
Okay. Well, let's bring us to the final numbers here.
Okay.
So, I have to say, I got to go on a little bit of a rant here for a second. I initially ranked it, and I'm like, and I think the machine does this game justice, actually.
Yeah,
like,
this is a respectable ranking for you.
And I'm like, well, hold on. Let me finish my statement first. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, then I started looking at what my initial final number was. Okay. And I'm like, this is way too high.
You had it higher?
Oh, yeah. I think
you rigged this. No, I'm just kidding.
It was I think I had it like at a 2.8 or something.
Okay.
And I'm like, and I looked at my ranking. I'm like, I like playing this game. Mm-hmm. It's okay. It's not a better game to me than Wind Waker, than Adventure of Link, than Oracle, the old Legend of Zelda, like all the games that the machine told me it's higher than. So I'm like, I had to take a step back. I'm like, all right.
That's what made you reconsider.
Let me reconsider
I can
some
appreciate
of these things.
that. There's some things now that I might even have to alter some stuff in the future on some of these games, because there are some where now I'm looking at it and I'm like looking at certain categories and I'm like, oh, am I never going to give anything a 5 on dungeons? Okay. Have we already done the game that I think should be a 5?
Right? So, you're right. And so sometimes I feel games that you really like playing and you spend so many hours with and they're fun and you've got good memories with are not necessarily like the best games.
Okay.
But there's something about it. Like, I think Cadence is a good pick up and play kind of game.
Yeah.
Although you get. Maybe not like every 6 months you play for an hour, because then you're gonna like forget how to play.
Yeah.
But like the idea right now, I got an hour to kill before I gotta go do something. Let me throw Cadence in for half an hour and play it. You can do that. You can't do that with Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Nobody's throwing Twilight Princess in for 30 minutes. But I'll give this example. There's this really, really awful, crappy Facebook game I play called Hero Wars. I'm sure you've seen me play it before.
Okay. Yeah.
Over the last 3 years, I think I probably put about 600 hours into this game.
Okay, well, this is better made than Hero Wars. Come on.
The point I'm saying is, like, I play that game for about 15 minutes every single day, probably for like 900 days in a row or something like that. And it's a free-to-play game, but I played like $60 into it. But I mean, like, I've played that so much and I enjoy it, and every time I play it, I get some sort of reward out of it. But it's not better than Twilight Princess.
Okay.
Even a game that has so many flaws. And that's kind of how I feel about Cadence. Even though I might enjoy playing it more in smaller sessions, and there's nothing that might be frustrates me or that annoys me as much compared to some other Zelda games. But I just don't think it's a better game.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you gave it a respectable ranking still.
So I had to like nudge it a little bit.
For me, I am satisfied with my ranking. Like, okay, Twilight Princess is a game that when I played it when I was 15, it's like I loved it. And over the years, like, it's just lost its shine to me. But Cadence is a game, it's only been a couple of years, but every time I play it, I play like once a year now, and I'm so excited to do it, and it's so killer, and from like basically start to finish, I'm just so hooked on it. And so it's a game I want to keep coming back to, and not just because it is like a time filler, but I genuinely enjoy my time with it, and I get so into it. So I think for me, it is, maybe it's not one of the best like Zelda in quotation games, but it is one of the best games involving Zelda.
Do you feel if some person who doesn't know anything about the series, the Zelda, or like the Definitive Ranking series, and just you showed them your list, and they just take a look and they're like, all right, Majora's Mask, great game. Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, A Link Between Worlds, those are your top 4. Cadence is better than Legend of Zelda and Wind Waker? Okay, yeah, I can't take this guy serious.
There are so many people already who are mad about my Twilight Princess. That's fair, and that's fair. I don't care.
But specifically, Cadence, you have it one step above Legend of Zelda and Wind Waker, 2 games that are on different ends of the spectrum of Zelda fans. But you think you can justify saying that you think Cadence
I just spent the whole video saying it, Okay. But if someone else were to tell me, like, no way, Wind Waker is obviously way better, it's like, okay. Like, or the case you just made for Twilight Princess sounds very reasonable to me.
Yeah.
But this is my list, and this is what I like.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is not an objective list.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a very subjective list in this criteria that we've made, and I think I just love this game.
So even the community had it above Phantom Hourglass, Adventure of Link. So it's pretty lower on the community ranking. The staff had it a little bit higher, above Oracle Seasons, Spirit Tracks, Legend of Zelda. I had it above amongst the major games. I had it above Spirit Tracks, which even I would say I would rather play Spirit Tracks. I think it's a no. Let me rephrase. I think I'd rather play Cadence, but I think Spirit Tracks from a beginning to end, the entirety of the game is better.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh, I forgot. This is exciting.
What for
our next one? Yeah.
Our next month, we are going to be covering The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Deluxe.
The deluxe edition. Yes.
Yeah. We specifically did Link's Awakening for the Switch last time. I'm gonna have to go probably rewatch that video. I think.
Okay.
Just to get my bearings straight a little bit. Because we're talking about specifically the DX version.
Yeah, for the Game Boy Color.
Yes.
So.
Or the Game Boy. I guess.
Or the Game Boy. You play it on Game Boy.
Yeah.
If you wanna just do Link's Awakening, I guess that's fine too.
Yeah, but we're playing the deluxe because we feel like they're different enough. We talked about this in that video briefly, but it's hard to separate them. But they just feel like such different games.
Yeah, in some aspects they share a lot of similarities, but there's specific parts where they're different enough that we thought, even if you feel like they're the same, why not? Let's just do it, because I think they'll be different for us.
I don't know actually, but
I don't think there'll be a big difference for me. But
so we're covering for the month of June Link's Awakening DX.
Yes.
So there's a poll in the description below. Have your voice be heard, and join us in June for some Link's Awakening.